as individuals and as a community. And it breaks down the barriers that have often divided us. And so this work here is really powerful because we are all one. We all want to be happy. We all want to be prosperous. And with our collective power, our collective spirits, we're able to go forth and be transformed.
I love it. Thank you. Thank you so much. Woo. Y'all, let's talk about let's talk a little bit now about, same question to you. Why is it so much better that we do this empowerment and this healing work together?
Yes, well, I so appreciate what you shared, Doctor, and I would just add 5 more things I would say,
Okay.
Tracy, Dr. Tracy. One is that when you do healing and empowerment work together, you become aware of the shared experiences you have with other humans versus thinking it's only me, no one gets me, no one understands me. And we start to realize that there are themes that transcend our individual human experience, and you don't feel alone. Number 2 is you have witnesses. So if you share about something you are working on, you've experienced, there's people to hear it, not just self-talk back to self. 3 is, in my experience, when you do empowerment and healing work together, it requires that you work different muscles than you do doing it individually. Number 4, I would say you have someone to journey with. So it's not this isolated process, but you know that there are others who are in a similar space or place, or started with you, or said, let's do it alongside. And then 5thly, I would say it's synergistic. So particularly when you have melanated people come together and the power of melanin that gets activated in our togetherness, it creates a synergy, a momentum, and an energy that cannot be achieved individually. So for all those reasons and more, I would say it's important.
Thank you so much. We've been talking about this Better Together Empowerment series for 2 years now through the National Black MBA Association. And I know our president, Dr. James Carter, will be joining us this evening. Our pastor, Leslie Braxton, will be joining us this evening as well. And as you all know, one of the things that, this is at the New Beginnings Christian Fellowship, just to clarify. And so what he has been doing, our theme for 2024 is get better. Get better. So when he said that, and he said one session after the next, I couldn't not pull him in. Because I'm like, every time he says something about emotional intelligence, and he talks about being clear where you started, he talked this last week, he talked about forgiveness. And that's going to be a key part of this work. Because we realize that goes into my next question. What are some of the reasons that people get stuck? You guys remember when he said something recently about, in January, 80% of gyms get all of their revenue, right? People are signing up. They got these resolutions. And then by March, you don't see those people anymore. You don't see those people anymore. As a matter of fact, we got a video we were going to share, Nathan, our 2-minute video, the newest one. We're going to actually pull that up. Because some people have asked us, like, what is this 6-week experience all about? They've said, this sounds good, but it almost sounds too good to be true. Can you really transform? I've been talking about losing weight for X number of years, and I still haven't done it. I've started, and then we lose track of what the next thing might be to stay on track. And so one of the next questions we're going to talk about is, what are some of the reasons that people actually get stuck? What are some of the reasons they get stuck?
Yeah. Well, in this Western American culture, there's such an emphasis on doing and just do it, and action and plan. And if you have not explored and uncovered the core beliefs that are powering the decisions, powering and shaping your thought process, and informing the actions you're taking, then it's very easy for your tank to run out of fuel, because the doing tank is a very shallow tank.
Yes.
So transformation, however, and how that's different from just personal development, is that you actually look at the invisible underlying causative factors that are beneath it all, beneath your thought process, beneath your emotional responses, and for a lot of us, emotional reactions, beneath your decisions and choices, etc. So getting stuck is often a result of only dealing with the above ground visible action level and not the causative level. The visible level is the effect level. And so transformation is about also addressing the cause level. So hence the reason we can loop or stay stuck or be talking about it, have a plan, but 60, 90 days later, we've fallen back into the patterning that has really been familiar dominating our lives.
Yes. And what you'll see when this video is played is, you know, we call these things saboteurs. There's something inside of us that prevents us from doing the thing that we know we want to do, that we've decided we want to do. We made decisions, a decision, and then with these habits, we get stuck in a loop, right? That's kind of the neuroscience of the brain as well, right? You get stuck in a loop, and we get to break it, though. The same way she said, it's about this beautiful space. It's about us deciding. So decide today. What is one thing you want to transform? One area of your life that you want to move, that you want to get better? We want you to think about that. We want you to actually think about real experiences, real things that are happening in your life, and then that's the work that we're going to do together. For you, it might be, I want to improve my business. For you, it might be, I'm a newlywed and I want to make sure this relationship is optimized. For you, right, it might be about your child, right? For you, so we all are going to have different things that we want to get better, different ways we want to get better, but we're going to have to be really clear about how we get stuck. So I want you to write down right now on this yellow card, orange card, whatever color card you got, write down how I get stuck, right? How I get stuck. So we're going to talk a little bit more about what are some of the reasons people get stuck.
Well, people get stuck because they're not aware of their woundedness. You have to be aware of yourself. And it's important to know the places, and oftentimes we hide those things in the recesses of our soul. So in order to even start any kind of healing, we have to be aware, and awareness of our woundedness. And a lot of things, shame, we are afraid to share our stories, so we hold them on the inside of us. And we know that what we suppress, what we hold on the inside of us, it oppresses us and ultimately depresses us. And so until we express that, and that's the whole thing about, you know, being authentic with ourselves, being genuine with ourselves, and also being intentional. And I always say soul work is slow work. And it takes a lot of time, and it's as important as waking up in the morning, brushing your teeth. We do that intentionally every day. Every day we need to check in with ourselves and find out what is life-giving and what are the things that are destructive to living to the fullness of who I've been created to be. So it's important to just think about, you know, the things that holds us in captivity, and to share those things. And the beauty of this community space is that we embrace the beauty of each of us, the genuineness in each of us, and when we let go of those things, it allows us to let our light shine, as I like to say.
Yes.
I heard you getting excited over there. What resonated with you?
Well, I just wanted to add a thought that usually when we think about better, we think about horizontal, forward, linear progress. And so I would like to suggest that better has a new direction, which is upward. So that means elevation. Hello. That means elevation. That means upward. That means vertical, which means there's a change in consciousness that's required. You can move forward and achieve a goal, and you're operating at the same altitude and consciousness. So let's say that better might have a new direction, which is up. And that's also the direction of transformation. It's not just forward, it's up and then forward.
I love that. And if you think about the why, you know, this concept of why is it better to do this together, right? That was our first question. And my favorite pastor just came in. And I love the shirt, y'all. He's representing. He's representing for the songs of Black folks. I so love that. Pastor Braxton, how are you?
I'm good.
Thank you for joining us. I got really, really excited because, you know, when we did this, the first question I was asking this group here is, why is it better that we do this type of empowerment and healing work together? And you in your divine wisdom, said in 2024, our theme is get better. And I was like, look at Jesus. Look at Jesus. So why is it so much better that we do this type of empowerment and healing work together?
First of all, good evening, everybody.
Yes.
I just got out of my yard, so I'm not feeling better. My back is but it's one of my Monday tasks. We're in the post-pandemic world. Everybody lost a little something. We've got 13-year-olds who are 11-year-old in their social skills and emotional development because they were in a silo for 2 years and were not interacting with their peers. They're 2 grade levels behind in school. You've got adults who manage social situations gracefully in the past who now find themselves getting irritated more quickly, not being able to hold their peace, playing tick for tack. We've all deteriorated in some ways. As Michelle Obama says, we're all a little bit COVID crazy. Our nurturing systems were cut off and we were in silos, and you just don't lock a person up whether you send them to prison or go through a pandemic. You don't put a people in an artificial environment for a protracted period of time and think they walk out the same. And it's going to take a while for us to even understand and assess all the damage that was done. And so one of the things we have to do is just intentionally get better at those known areas of deficiency.
Yes.
One of the things our nation is, we're in a health crisis. We had an obesity crisis going into COVID. Obesity is defined as only 35 pounds above an ideal weight. When we think obesity, we think super obese. At 35 pounds of excess weight, you've compromised everybody's system. From the cardio to the pulmonary to the neurological to the skeletal to the circulatory. And so we're in a health crisis. There's no health system in the world that is sustainable with a society of people who haven't learned to proactively live healthy lives. We've got to change our relationships to food, to sedentariness, to exercise, all of those kinds of things. The American way of life is killing us. We've got to get better at just living in our bodies. We've got to get better at managing our relationships. We get together, but we don't know how to stay together. We fall out, we don't know how to fall back in. We've got to get together at parenting our children and working with teachers rather than seeing them as the enemy. And so, because we're not stewarding our children's education very well. One of the teachers in our church told me, said, about 75% of our kids of color are below grade level. We got to begin to tell those inconvenient truths so that we can address them. And our churches have to get better at doing ministry in the world we have now, not the world we grew up in. And most of us were trained at a time when the world was different. 3/4 of what I learned in seminary is completely irrelevant. And so we're in a world of where, Einstein said in Survival of the Fittest that it's not the strongest or the smartest, it's the most adaptable. And we got to stop talking about back in the day, because we ain't back in the day. We got to start talking about today. And so we got to, practically speaking, in the book, in the scriptures, it is the book of Proverbs and James that have what they call practical theology. Where does the ideal touch down on the ground? And right now, all our institutions, starting with the church, have got to get real practical and just get better at the basic building blocks of life and community and relationship. Because we're failing in the basics. And we have to admit that. And start building plans to get back underneath things, or get back on top of the world, because right now the world's on top of us.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much. You're good. You're good. Thank you. So what I love about that, we just did a little rollback because it was important for us to start with this man who is clearly divinely inspired, right? A theme for the year of getting better. That's the depth. all the ways we all need to get better. We were just talking about what are some of the reasons that people get stuck. And I heard you say, you know, you got to deal with some of these emotions, right? You got to deal with some of the emotions. The ladies too have already shared some of the reasons people get stuck. Our next question, just so we're all on the same page, is going to be, how do you move out of being stuck into living powerfully? And third, some of the steps that you have taken, because we've all done it, to move to that next level, to break out of those old habits, to really create a space where you're living powerfully. So we're going to go deep, right? We're asking these people, but you guys should be writing down in your own lived experiences. What are some of the challenges you're having? What are some of the ways that we can support you, right? This is different in that it's not we ain't just talking. We're here to support you. We're here to truly create a space where we are getting better together. We're not just talking about it. 20% of a true change, only 20% of that is through information. 80% is through activation. So it has to be in us doing things differently and us showing up differently. So the question to you, Pastor Braxton, goes back to the idea of why do people get stuck? You said some of the things before about what we don't do. Why do you think people get stuck?
Well, there's as many answers as there are people.
Yes.
We get stuck because of grief. There's a story in Genesis 11 about Terah, the father of Abraham. He had 3 sons, Abraham, Nahor, and Haran. Haran died. He was the baby boy. It says he died in his father's presence. And then God told Terah, go to Canaan. He packed his family up, and they stopped off at a graveyard. He had the same name as his dead son, Haran. And then he never left there. Terah died there. And because he was the head of the clan, the family had to stay wherever he was. So he got stuck. His whole family stayed stuck for 80 years over grief. His son died, and we all understand that who have kids. But when you're a family that's called to Canaan, a place of milk and honey, but you allow you and your loved ones to get stuck in a place of death, it may be understandable, it's still a tragedy. So grief is one of the reasons why we get stuck. Social injustices, which cause people's lives to veer off the cliff because of systemic injustices on the basis of race and gender and poverty. You know, our government recently, our Supreme Court just said affirmative action in reference to race is illegal. Unless you're talking about the military, since 70% of Americans who are under the age of 30 are black, brown, red, and yellow, and America literally can't field an army without its black children. You did notice that when them 3 soldiers got sent back from Iraq, they were all black. Get used to it. Whenever we fight these old white men's wars, the bodies coming back are going to be black. So you can talk black, blackity black all you want as long as you're talking about the military. But when you start talking about the porthole through corporate and government success and power, they want to cut that off. It's illegal to talk black. The one basis by which they were excluded in the past. And so that's the reason why people get stuck, because the ladders of rise are being chopped out. So putting women back on their backs, barefoot and pregnant, keeping other people on the other side of the Rio Grande, LGBTQ back in the closet. There's a lot of, right now you're having people who are fighting intentionally to push America back to 1955. But people get stuck because of that. Trauma from their childhood. A lot of people ain't moved past the molestation as a child, the abandonment issues as a child, the verbal violence where people use words as a sledgehammer. There's as many reasons as you got people in this room, and probably 3 or 4 times more than that, because most of us got 4 or 5 reasons in us, at least, where our lives could find itself off a cliff.
I love it. I love it. Part of the reason we decided we were going to combine this concept of getting better together with the idea of the living powerfully experiences, because we had a lot of scientific proof around how the brain works, like how no matter what's happening around you, you could still choose this too will work out for my good, right? The fact that the spiritual and the scientific were so perfectly aligned, I could not move forward with combining them in a space that allowed us to show up. So when you think about the neuroscience of the brain, and you think about positive psychology and performance science and cognitive behavioral psychology, it's like, how does it work? What can we do? So we all have self-command. We have the power to choose. It's decisions that determine our destiny. Regardless of what's happening around us, we get to decide how I'm going to perceive it. I believe that every situation will work out for my good. Every situation can be turned into a gift and an opportunity. That's positive intelligence. That's part of it. The Bible also says it's going to work out. Hello? For those who believe. So if you combine the science and the spirit, y'all, we can't go wrong. Scientifically proven to work. So the next question really is about us and our self-command, that agency, the opportunity that we all have to get unstuck. Yes, we get stuck. Of course we do. We're going to talk about saboteurs next week. Right? Before you all leave, we're going to give you a way to go online, do an assessment around what gets you stuck. It's those saboteurs. It's those voices in our head. But the fact that we get to choose differently. We get to actually get unstuck. Sabrina, as a transformational coach, let's talk a little bit about how can people move out of getting stuck? I get a little excited. You know that? Just a little. Just a little.
Well, one of the thoughts that came to mind was conditioning our minds to a higher level and from a higher level. And there are so many things that bombard us on a daily basis now with our access to social media alone, where every single person can be their own news channel. And even though we have a love-hate relationship with it, many of us are still ingesting from it, and we're not necessarily being that discerning about what we are allowing in through our eye gates and our ear gates. So conditioning your mind is almost like, Pastor Braxton was talking about food choices. And when you decide to become more radiantly healthy, that means the choices that go into your mouth change. Same thing with conditioning your mind. What gets in through the eyes and the ears and associations and your energy exchanges changes. And so part of the journey is recognizing that it's about becoming a better conditioner of your mind. And that also means your thoughts. Scripture talks about taking thoughts captive, because so much of what goes on in our minds is entered and it wasn't invited, or we didn't know the door was open. And so part of this is the level and the quality of your thinking and believing is a key part of getting unstuck. And that's an ongoing process. It's not an event.
Right.
It's an ongoing process, because conditioning, just like if you go to the gym, you go hard for 6 months, you stop for 6 weeks, you will regress. So the conditioning of the mind is not just for a season. The brain is plastic. The mind is unlimited. So we're to continue to be elevating. So that was a thought I had. And I know you're going to ask a question later where I might actually say the same answer, but I'm thinking about one of my former transformational programs called Juicy Woman University. And the starting place with every new student was they were charged with writing a vision letter for their life, breaking it down into the categories of life so that they weren't overwhelmed. So what's your vision for your money? What's your vision for your family relationships? What's your vision for your love relationships? What's your vision for your relationship with your children? What's your vision for your spirit? What's your vision for et cetera, et cetera? And it was amazing how many women, and these are high-performing, leading women, hadn't stopped to have that very important conversation with themselves, and certainly not to pen it and write it down. And so that for me is such a starting point with anything. With my business, before I started my business, the vision preceded the actions. Before I was married, I had a vision for what I wanted my covenant marriage to be like. Before my children arrived, what kind of mother did I want to be? So vision is such a compelling North Star that we can keep our eye on, and it also will inform us as to what choices are aligned with our vision. But if you have no vision, you're like a rudderless boat. A wave comes or a current comes, and now you turn according with the most powerful wave that pushed you that direction, instead of I'm clear about what I desire for myself in every life area, and this decision is or this decision isn't aligned with that or in support of that. So the clarity, which vision and clarity are work hand in hand, and then that conditioning the mind would be the places I would start responding.
How
to
do you
that.
move out of being stuck? That is so important. Now, I mentioned that we are broadcasting live on multiple destinations. One of them is Rainier Avenue Radio, and I think I just got a call, a connection that they need to go on a commercial break, so we're going to keep talking, but we'll be right back on Rainier Avenue Radio, and we will continue to talk. We're going to continue this question specifically to Ms. Dr. Linda Smith. How do people move out of being stuck into truly living powerfully?
Well, I agree with what the other panelists have said, but I go back to self. We really have to learn how to practice self-care and compassion towards ourselves. And that actually gives us the strength. We're bombarded with so many things, and structural things, racism, and all the things as Dr. Braxton had alluded to. And those things just sort of clog up our minds and our souls. And so the importance of self-care allows us to really open ourselves up, to be able to be in touch with our own soul, to know those places where we're wounded and where we're suffering. And it allows us to be more gentle and kind with ourselves. Because if we find yourself suffering in silo, it harms us even more. It creates more woundedness inside of us. So really taking the time that self-care and just being compassionate towards ourselves, it allows more healing to go forth into the world, into those that we're in connection with.
I love it. I love it. Pastor Braxton, I know you've connected with people who've just been stuck. They come to you and they're like, help a sister out. Help me get unstuck. Help me break free of these chains. And when you start swinging the handkerchief and getting all excited, it's because you know that there is a path for us to get unstuck. There is a path for us to get unstuck. Talk a little bit about how people can move out of those limiting beliefs and those habits that have not gotten them to where they want, regardless of what's happening around them, regardless of the system, showing up and being able to do better. Talk a little bit about that.
In 2023, I started the year with a sermon series on change, and one of the sermons had to do with sometimes we're excited about change because we think it portends positive things that we look forward to. Getting married,
Right.
Assuming that you like the person.
Oh my goodness.
Starting a new job in a new city, you're looking forward to the change. Going off to college, whatever your anticipations are. So sometimes we're excited about the change. And some changes are forced upon us that are not positive. Sometimes we change when it's too painful to stay where we are. The doctor tells you, if you don't change, you're gonna die. You got some threatening health issues. If you don't change, you're gonna die. So sometimes the urgency, self-preservation, causes people to change. Sometimes a woman will grab her child and run. When she gets to the point she realizes, if I stay here, he's gonna kill me. Sometimes people who live in an addiction that they tell themselves that they're managing, after that second or third DUI, and they lose their license, and then they can't get hired with the school system or anything anymore, that addiction is causing them so much pain, they're tired of that pain, and then they decide to go get help. Or someone tells them the marriage is over if you don't go get help. So what helps us get unstuck is sometimes the staying where I am is just too painful. And sometimes the support in people in my life, their continued presence in my life is conditioned upon me moving off the dime. It's not always an epiphany and aha. Sometimes it's 911.
Right.
And the boys in blue show up because you got to go because they tired of it.
I love it.
But Jesus said the truth shall set you free. Usually change, getting unstuck stops with a moment of sobriety, and I mean it in the broadest sense, where the lies that we tell ourselves to stay stuck, to keep saying, oh, I can put this down whenever I want to. Or I still got my high school physique.
See,
Or she's happy. When we get to the point where we stop telling the stinking thinking, we
Right.
stop lying to ourselves, and we allow the radiance of truth to get in, and we face those inconvenient truths. That's the beginning of getting unstuck, when we stop lying to ourselves.
I love
And we all do it. I've done it. We have, and the more educated you are, the more powers and tools of rationalization.
right, right, exactly.
Oh,
Yes.
we like, cause we can really,
Rationalize.
we lie to ourselves so good, and until we can't afford to lie to ourselves
Right.
no more. Yeah, and I think people get unstuck when they're willing to tell themselves the truth.
Yeah, I know we're back. I know we're back with Whitney Urban Radio. We're back in this. Every face here is smiling because we see ourselves in all of these truths. To thine own self be true. So get ready, y'all, because again, she called this a healing circle earlier on. You missed that part of it, but it was like, hey, we are here to offer some insights. But each and every person here, you're here because you want to get better. There's something in your life you want to get better. And so Sabrina mentioned earlier that when you declare a thing, and I didn't say thing. You heard what I said. Thank you. I said when you declare a thing, right, you can create the future, the life that you want. So we're going to actually create a space for you to declare the thing, right? As quickly as you can. Here's where I'm at, and here's what I want to declare. So just get ready. We're going to be asking each of you. And if you're stuck, you got coaches right here. This is what's different about this. It's all being recorded because your breakthrough going to be a breakthrough for somebody else. So you're here because you said 90% of the people are online. Less than 10% of y'all said I'm going to come in. 90% of the people that registered for this said I'm going to take this online. We got some people watching, so if you're online, we want you to also engage. Some of the nuggets that you heard, what has been powerful for you, right? But what is an area of your life where you've gotten stuck and something that you're committing over the next 6 weeks? I'm going to get better in this area. This is what I'm gonna do. Maybe this is what I did. This is what I'm gonna do. And coaches, I need some help. We're here for you. That's what this is about. So let me be clear. The truth sometimes hurts. So we need some brave souls to just show up because we're going to give it to you straight without a chaser. You understand what I'm saying? Okay, so get ready, get ready. I'm gonna let her, so I just wanted to keep prepping you because when I ask for the questions, I don't want dead silence. So I know you got something to say. I know you got something to say about forgiveness. I know you got something to say. I know you got, so don't make me have to call you out. But first, sorry, yes, we're going to have her answer the question as well. Go ahead.
Okay, so I just want to,
Back to the-
I just want to clarify
Yes,
something. The
yes,
truth does not hurt. Your attachment to the lies do.
Oh, say it again.
So we can
Say
stop
it again,
giving
say it again.
truth
Yeah.
a bad PR campaign. Because then you'll avoid it and you'll run from it. It's our attachment to the lies, it's the delusions, the illusions, the patterns. That's what causes the hurting.
Tell the
The
truth.
truth shall make you free. Is it true or not? It is. That is the path to freedom, is truth. So we can't have a mixed PR campaign on one hand. The
Absolutely.
truth hurts. Yes, sister. Hold up. Is it hurting or is it making you free? What is really causing the pain? That's what we want to begin to cut away. So just want to clarify that.
Thank you.
All right.
Did I
thank
mention
you.
she's my coach? Excellent coaches need coaches too. And so let me tell you about my breakthrough, right? It has had a lot to do with being honest with myself, seeing the parts that are shaky, right? From an outside in perspective. So the truth is really our salvation, right? It is how we get to the next level. So ma'am, tell us a little bit about some of the steps that people can take to break through those limiting beliefs, the lies that we tell ourselves, right? Some of the things that we can do to actually live powerfully.
Well, first, it's as I said before, Socrates says, an unexamined life is not worth living. It's to examine our lives. The awareness of our woundedness is so critical. And then to have the strength to do so, because sometimes we don't have the strength to tell ourselves the truth about what's really happening. We walk around in make-believe. And then we got to be motivated. There has to be something to motivate us. We want to be better. We want to live happier lives. We want to, and so we have to commit the time to do it. Like you say, it's not just something that you wave a wand and suddenly all is well. It's slow work, you know. It's every day really paying that attention, and then to be willing to get help. And as I believe this process here really is a way of getting that extra help, you know. I do encourage people to get therapy and counseling, but I also realize the power of the circle has just been overwhelmingly powerful because, particularly when you're in a community of like-minded people, to be able to get that help that you need. That we help one another, we enable one another to be healed and made whole. So it's and then there are things, you know, like meditation and really just taking that time. I love the text in the Bible where the psalmist says, "Be still and know."
Yes.
Be still and know. And most of the time we're so busy, we're so bombarded with you know, the crisis, the social crisis, and you know, the things that's going on in the world, and you know, even our desire to be able to help one another. Sometimes we feel defeated by that, but to really be still and to listen to yourself, and to have an openness for the reality, the truth of what's being told, rather than burying it under covers. But there's so many things, but just as a starting point, I was like, I have to tell myself the truth. I have to be awakened to my own inner critics and the voices that I entertain and give life to, as opposed to putting them to death so that they don't live inside of me anymore.
I love that. So one of the things we've done with this Living Powerfully experience with Positive Intelligence, you each have this colorful document on your desk. At the very bottom, there's something that's called, it's going to positiveintelligence.com, and there's a little 5-minute assessment. It's called the Saboteur Assessment. I know you did your Saboteur Assessment, and it's basically saying, what are those things, in case you're not clear, right? I know you did your Saboteur Assessment. I know you did it. I know you did it. I know you did it. I know you did. So, right. So when we are able to show up, sometimes you need an outside-in little tool, 5 minutes. It's you can almost think about it like your Zodiac. You get to read it and decide what part of this is true for me, right? Not one person has ever done this and thought it was less than 75%. Because you're answering, you know, no one knows you better than you. So this is just another tool. Going into the next session, we're going to talk about those saboteurs. We're going to talk about being true, being honest with ourselves, and what do you do with that? Once you see the truth, what do you do with it? And I know one of the things we've had a conversation about was, you may want to get better. Are you ready to get better? You and I had a conversation just last Thursday, and it was like, let's be very clear. Wanting a thing and being ready for true transformation are very different things. So let's talk a little bit about readiness. Readiness. How you doing? Do you have a hard stop at 7? I know it's 6:44. I just want to make sure I get you in and get you out.
At least by 7:10.
Okay, so this man is running this major experience, Songs of Black Folks. And we were just grateful that you came here. So just know how grateful I am. I'm taking clips out of every sermon he does, like, oh my God, look at the Lord. It's so much aligned. But let's just talk specifically about being ready versus saying I want a thing, but I'm really not ready to change. Let's talk a little bit about how we help people to get truly ready.
Let me just say, Tracy, when you were in school, I hope you never did drugs, because you already am. I'm over the top. You're right. People say I'm extra. I be like, am I extra or you basic? You know, I don't know.
This is the calmed version.
Is this a calm version?
Yes.
This is a calm version, and she would know. This is me being calm.
This is like a contact high by force of personality.
In a good way? In a good way?
Yes.
Good way.
In a good way, thank God. I was just gonna say. To that old self be
Sometimes
true.
when Jackie done talking to Tracy, I'm exhausted. I'm sorry, I just had to
In a
say
good way, thank you.
In a good way.
being ready.
Yeah.
To me, the way I laid out those motivations, I think you're ready at the point where you can't stand the situation anymore. You're ready. I'm ready. I can't. I think other people call it hitting bottom, and your bottom is not my bottom. You may be content to wallow in a little bit. For me, it's bottom. I'm done with it. And but then I have found in 36 years, 37 years of pastoral ministry, that many people, when they're ready, they still need resources.
Right. Every day.
Wanting to do something about your heart issue and having health care to do something about it, or afford the prescriptions is two different things. Wanting to get in shape and being able to afford a gym pass and a trainer to show you what to do so that you're not in there doing stuff that's not even helping you get to your physical goals. Addiction or what have you, people need the resources. And so one of the reasons why people stay stuck is not that they don't have the desire to do better. They don't know where to turn, and then the resources aren't there. There's not equity in recovery, betterment, deliverance resources of any type. Martin King said the greatest form of injustice in American society was health care. That was his assessment when he was alive. Right now, in Washington State, quiet as it's kept, the number one form of addiction is sexual addiction being fed through by this monster. More than any form of drug addiction or alcoholism. Only problem is you can get alcohol recovery, narcotics recovery, you can get that mental health through your health care provider. But sexual addiction, you don't. And there are lots of sexual addiction programs popping up, but they're not covered by health care, so only men and women who are very well paid and compensated can afford to slip away into these discreet places and access the care that's allowing them not to burn their own house down, ruin their relationships and their health and their dignity, and not end up on the front page of the newspaper for the wrong thing. And so, again, I think one of the things that helps us get unstuck, and in a sense of helping our neighbor, is we've got to fight to make sure that there is equity and access to the resources that allow people to take that step when they're ready. Even if they're not ready, they're not going to take the step even if it's there. But what I find as a pastor is people knocking on my door, they're ready. They want better. They want to go back to school. They want to improve their life. But then that next step, immediately they run into the resource gap. And so most of the stuff I do with people is a ministry of referral. Connecting them to the agency, the people, yada, yada, or the amount of emergency assistance we can do. But we're like any other church. The church's coffers are only so deep, but it's really a ministry of referral. And trust me, the inequities there are heartbreaking.
Thank you. Wow, that is beautiful. You and I talked about being ready, getting ready, versus saying I want to
Yes.
get better.
I'm a gunner.
I'm a gonna, because I wanna. And I'm being honest, y'all. I have talked about losing weight for, I don't know, 10, 15 years. I said I wanted to, but I really didn't. Clearly I didn't. Because my decisions, clearly, can I say clearly? Clearly I did, because my decisions did not align with the outcomes that I said I wanted. And so I've lost 35 pounds without trying, just because I've been doing this positive intelligence, this work around living powerfully, right? Because I get to decide, like, these decisions determine your destiny. Not the decision that I want to lose weight when I'm can't button something up, but the decision when I'm having lunch, when I'm buying that food. Did you see that more green stuff is over here than ever? The fruit, the vegetables. My body is a divine living temple that I'm going to pour into it living.
Amen, sister.
You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying?
I saw the empanadas.
I didn't bring those empanadas. I just need to be clear. Somebody else brought them empanadas.
And the brownies.
I didn't bring the brownies either. I didn't bring that. I just want to be clear. What I brought is green. I just want to clarify. I brought green stuff.
We talking about
Okay?
attachment to them guys.
I swear to God, I brought green stuff and fruit. So we all get to decide. So decisions determine your destiny. So when we talk about being ready, again, get ready for y'all to get to share the thing that you're going to do to get better. We're going to keep it short. What are you going to do to get better, and where do you need help? Right? What are you going to do to get better, and where do you need help? When we're going around the room, if you're in this room, get ready. Be ready. Yes, I know. Hello.
Hello,
How are you?
I'm good.
Thank you. We're talking about getting ready. Being ready versus wanting to get better. Being ready to actually get better.
Well, I think goals are important. And the acronym that I use for goals is guiding opportunities to achieving life success. Guiding opportunities for achieving life success. Because if you don't have a goal, as Dr. Debrina said, I call her a doctor because she's been doing this work for all these years, and really appreciate her work and the healing that so many people have experienced from her work. But it's like the vision. If you don't have a vision, you will perish because you're not focused any place. So in alignment with that vision, you have to have goals, and you have to have the goals, the guiding opportunities, those opportunities that's going to lead to success in the area that you're focused on. And don't take on everything at once. You can't do it all at once. You know, small pieces, and really celebrating those small pieces as you do them is really important, because we get discouraged. You know, it's like, well, I need to be here at this place at this time, but I have, my work has led me to work with a lot of women's in shelter for over 20-some years, and I've seen people overcome addictions, and as Dr. Braxton was talking about, the sexual abuse, and it's all because they had decided that this is not serving me well anymore. I'm not achieving life happiness, and so they set those personal vision and goals, and it just started to work. Chip at the block, chip at a time.
Yes.
Maybe I'm outdating myself.
No, you're not. I'm with you. I love it.
But you know, just one piece at a time. So otherwise, you become overwhelmed and you just sort of throw in the towel and you don't do anything. So be kind and be gentle to yourself, and celebrate your successes as each day.
And we've talked about this concept of consistency and celebrating the wins. That goes back to the neuroscience. Again, you guys are getting a very high level view of some of the work we go really deep on with the Living Powerfully experience. But just know that what she just said is a nugget to hold on to. Celebrate every little success that is moving you toward the goal that you're about to declare.
Yeah.
In this room, and we're going to let the radio audience fall off in 2 minutes, but then we're going to transition to each of you being in a position to share what you're going to do, share what you want and need, where you having challenges, and to actually be coached in this space, live and in person. Yes, it'll be recorded, and yes, we'll say that again. Real quick, we're gonna give you a quick opportunity, but yes, some examples of people who are ready will be in a position to change. Now, the last thing I wanted to cover with this group here is this concept of forgiveness. In order to truly heal, we talk about empowerment, which is information, but to truly heal, right? The concept of putting new wine in old wineskins, the concept of clearing out the junk and the gunk, in order to truly be in a position where you can get to that next level. How many of y'all are willing to do the work? You realize it's work, right? It's going deep. So you talking about 6 weeks? That's enough time for us next week to talk about the saboteurs. You all can go in and do your saboteur assessment, or we'll do it right here in the room. It takes 5 minutes. That's how we're going to lead the next thing. I'll be putting it online, and I'll be asking you to send it to me in advance. I'll give you some free coaching. Like, that's what we were able to do through the National Black MBA Association. We got the ability for me to show up and for me to bring these people together to truly create a space. I'm doing this as a part of It's All Bigger Than Me ministry. This is a ministry of the mind to me. So we get to show up differently. So part of this concept of forgiveness, forgiving ourselves, potentially what we know we didn't do, right? As far as living out our dreams, but also forgiving others. So this concept of forgiveness, Pastor Braxton, I know you had some recently talked about forgiveness. If you had to give us your 30-second summary of why that's so important and how people do it and why it's so important, what would you say? Maybe not the how, but the why.
If you don't forgive, you stay tied
Yes.
to the toxic emotions
Yes, yes.
related to past hurts. And that warps your perception of the present. It distorts your expectations in your current situation. I expect this person to treat me wrong because the last one did. It causes me to be anxious. It affects my health because we internalize it. The body keeps the score. We don't have joy because we're nursing like a cow chewing its cud, that old wound. And I've seen too many people where the lights go out. And I can point it back to the event that happened. Their whole personality was diminished. And because they're holding on to it, thinking that that person doesn't deserve to be forgiven.
Right.
And it's like, I'll drink the poison and hope you die. And so forgiveness is not to be thought of as letting the offender off the hook. The forgiveness is Jesus telling you about your opportunity to get unhooked from your toxic past so that you're free to completely flower into the human being God intended you to be, despite what happened back there. And leave them to God. God will settle all scores.
I love it. So one of the things we're going to do, we're going to spend the next 2 weeks, this is a 6-week process. This week was really about the reminder that you actually have the power of self-command. That's week 1. If you can believe it's scientific, but it's also spiritual. You have the power. So if you leave here knowing that I can do this and that we can get better together, mission accomplished. Right? We can go deeper in the future. That's what this is about. We're also going to talk about your limiting beliefs. We're going to do some awareness through the saboteur assessment. We want you to see who you are. That's the next weeks 2 and 3. Week 4, I think it's June 3rd, is going to be when she's coming back, and we're going to go deeper on a forgiveness exercise. Bring your tissues. For real though. Right? Be in a position so that when he says so many brilliant things, but when you were on, I think it was the session where you said, we got to deal with these emotions. Or you can't do nothing else. You got to deal with these feelings. This dealing with is summary at high level. Dealing with is a process. So we're going to go through a forgiveness process, the beginning of a forgiveness process, and create a space for us to continue to do that. That's what empowerment and healing is about, saying you're going to come out renewed. Right, that's what transformation looks like. I'm excited about that. So that's on June 3rd. And then we're going to continue to move forward. It looks like I just got the hands waved. Thank you to our Rainier Avenue radio audience. Thank you very much. You can join us on YouTube and Facebook and LinkedIn, and we'll continue this conversation. Because now we're going to bring in the rest of this healing circle. We're going to bring in voices here. So as we do that, as we get to a point of talking about forgiveness, I'm going to let you talk about forgiveness. I'm going to let you talk about forgiveness. And I'm going to ask each of you to get ready to talk about what is that thing that you're going to do, that area of your life where you want to get better. And if you have some limiting beliefs or some challenges, let's talk about it. Let's get in a position, or this is what I'm going to do, and this is my commitment to myself and to this community. Okay? Talk about forgiveness. Talk about the importance of forgiveness and why it is critical to us truly living powerfully and us getting better together.
Yes. Well, I love the definition that Pastor Braxton was sharing, because so often we think that it is letting the other person off the hook as if it didn't happen. And I'm amazed at how many people have not done any active forgiveness work, and that is a false belief they hold that keeps them from doing the work. So if I were giving a definition would be personal freedom process, a personal liberation process. So that the low-level emotions, I don't call them negative, because every emotion has a frequency you can measure. Shame being one of the lowest, and love and joy and ecstasy and bliss being on the higher end. So low-level emotions get transmuted or released during forgiveness work. And the heart space, which represents the power of love being given and received, reopens. And we already know about love as the most powerful force in the universe. And when your heart is open versus closed or partially closed, your ability to draw to you, your magnetism increases exponentially. So a lot of times we may say we want something, but we're holding some low-level emotions from past experience that lodge themselves in our mind, body, spirit, and if you're a woman, or womb space, and it is lowering and minimizing and decreasing our natural magnetism. So what we're drawing to us is what's consistent with the low vibration versus when you have that open heart and when that love vibration is what is dominating. So, and we are electromagnetic beings. And so if you aren't activating your magnetism enough, then you're trying to do in the physical world, pushing the rock up the hill. You get tired and worn out. You keep trying to make it happen. And so many of us are fatigued because we're using our physical energy to try to make stuff happen, and we're not accessing some of our spiritual powers. So I wanted to, I was thinking of a metaphor because I have a love relationships course through the Love Academy division of my company. And the advanced course involves forgiveness work collectively in community for the whole group. Because when I would poll people and say, how many of you have been led through a forgiveness process? 2 out of 100 people, 2% is the average. And I've polled people all across the country in all of my different trainings and courses and programs and live events. And so the metaphor I want to use is, and this was the image that was given to me when I was explaining to the women in one of the Love Academy courses why I was building forgiveness work into the course curriculum. And this image of this woman in an old-fashioned jail cell like they had in the old westerns with the bars and the cot in the corner, and you know the deputy had the key ring on his belt. And it had an image of a woman in an old-fashioned jail cell, and she was pacing back and forth, frustrated, irritated, fed up, pissed off, because she was looking through the bars, seeing the keys jingling on the belt loop of the deputy, saying, that deputy is keeping me in here, and why won't he let me out or she let me out? And in her frustration, she jams her hands into her pockets, and then feels that there is a key in her pocket, which has been there the entire time, to let herself out of her own jail cell.
Yeah.
Now, at that moment, there are some of us that will go, what? I've had the key the whole time? That can't be. Pull your hand out without the key in it, and you keep pacing and cursing at the deputy. There are those of us who that is the route we will take, even once we know the key's in our own pocket. Then there's those who will say, what? And will reach through the wide bars, right, the old-fashioned jail cell, and put the key in and click, click, but they won't push the door open. Then there's those who will click, click, push the door open, and stand at the threshold because they have become so accustomed to the limitations of the jail cell, to complaining, to acting powerless, to being projecting their anger onto the deputy and whoever the deputies in our lives are represented by, that we stand at the threshold of crossing into more personal freedom and we pull the door shut. And so a lot of times the payoff that we've gotten, even though as miserable as the jail cell is, that we've convinced ourselves how miserable the jail cell is, there's some payoffs. I can stay inside this 10 by 10. I don't have to take any responsibility. I mean, there's some payoffs. Why would anyone want to turn and go back to the urine-stained cot, you know? But that was the metaphor. So we can be at all different phases of that and never walk across that threshold and remain in jail. And forgiveness is the process of crossing the threshold free. emotionally free, and also when we do that deeper forgiveness work, we're also challenging some of the false meanings and false perceptions and beliefs that those incidences and situations from our past anchored in us. False meaning, false perception, false beliefs that never got cleaned out and have been living our lives for us. So it isn't just those emotions, it's also those mental constructs that have been enslaving us. And cleaning those out is also part of the forgiveness process, hence why I like to consider it personal freedom work. Now, when a person gets free, it also creates a chain reaction, which is really powerful as well. So everyone wins when we each do our individual healing work, and when we do it collectively, it creates a force. So that's why forgiveness work is so important. And that's where I start. Healing 101, forgiveness work.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I love this so much. So I know from a time perspective, time check, are there any final words that you would like to share, Pastor Braxton, before you go off into, unless you want to stay and we can coach and all the things, but I just want to set you free if that is, where you need to be. I was asking Nathan to find the song, I Want to Be Free. So, you know the song? I want to be.
Ohio player.
You see what I'm saying? We all want to be free. Raise your hand if you want to be
Back
free.
in the day.
You want to be free. If you want to be free, stay with us. This getting better together, getting healthier, happier, wealthier, and wiser. This is the journey for us. Pastor Braxton, you want to come on now? We about. Did you expect
See,
this for your vision?
I was in a serious mode. You messed me up with that last metaphor. That's on that Ohio Players album with that lady with that honey jar that every black man in America
I don't know nothing about
has
that.
album
I don't know nothing about that. Sorry, I'm sorry.
You got the
I don't
album
know nothing
for the
about
cover.
that. See, that's a God
Come on,
thing.
man.
That's a God thing.
And in the song, the brother says, and you think about that woman on the album, he says, "One day, child, I won't have to listen to your lies.
Imagine
One day I'll be able to make up my own mind."
That's right. Imagine if
He
you were
said-
saying that to yourself.
Yeah,
though.
but he doesn't say, he don't say now.
Yeah.
He says, one day, I don't want to be free from you right now,
He
baby.
ain't ready. He ain't ready. He ain't ready. He ain't ready. He just want to be.
I want to be free. That boy is sprung. It's the most pitiful song in the world. And we've all been there. When you know she's poison or he ain't no good.
Right.
But if
I
you
ain't
open
ready.
the door right now, I ain't
I
leaving.
ain't ready. I ain't ready to be free. So y'all, we're gonna get ready. We're gonna get ready. We're gonna get ready to get better together. We got this. Pastor Braxton, I love you so much. The brilliance, the humor, all of it. It's such a blessing.
I'm gonna leave right now while
Okay.
I'm laughing since I was just told I actually do have the keys in my own pocket, so I get to go. So, but I look forward to next week. Now that I know the dress code, because you're wearing your prom dress and your prom dress, and I'm in jeans and a t-shirt. I feel underdressed next to you. But I have enjoyed your insights, Pastor, your insights, and so I hope people will go deeper. I will say this on the forgiveness thing, because I got sick a few years ago, and when God sits you down and you're still, God sometimes forces you to take a repass through your past and walk through the debris and the fallouts from yesteryear and pick up the raw materials for building a better future. And I remember as a kid, I went through a lot of childhood trauma related to my stepfather. He was a Korean War veteran with some undiagnosed PTSD, and when he drank, his personality split. He became violent. He savagely abused my mother, but he also abused my mother's children. And the first concussion I got was not playing football. It was being thrown up against a wall by a grown behind man. I wanted to use a stronger word, but I'm in the house of God. A grown behind man. And one of the reasons why I'm a night owl to this day, I got used to sleeping through the night until he went into a deep snore. Then I knew he was out. It was safe to sleep. And then I would sleep in school, and then I got kicked out of school because I was sleeping in the classroom, but I was trying to survive, and people didn't understand. And so, as fate would have it, he went to prison for forgery and domestic violence. When he got out of prison, he said he got called to preach. It's one of them prison callings. I'm not saying none of them are true, but when you just trying to pick up the soap in the shower, a lot of people said he got called. And he came back to the home church, which used to be my mama and our refuge. And Pastor Bullock let him sit in the pulpit, acknowledge this call, and now this man's 10 feet from me every Sunday morning. I'm looking at him. He's saying he called, but this is the man me and my brother said, as we cut our hands with a pocket knife, mingled our blood, said, we're going to kill that Negro when we get older.
See.
And I'm angry because of what he did, but I'm also angry that he's so narcissistic that of all the churches he could have went to, why would you come and invade our space? Invade my mama's space, invade our space, and why the pastor don't understand. And all those weeks, I never heard any word preached because I was preoccupied with him. I'm still thinking, can I kill him and nobody know, and then we come back and sit in this pulpit? Because I think I can compartmentalize enough to off him and come to church and shout. I think I can do it. My pastor told me when I complained to him, because he saw the look on my face. He said, you are no longer welcome in my pulpit. I said, why? He said, because I see your rage toward this man. And he said, I know what he did. And I said, so why is he in the pulpit? He said, God is the judge and not you. And he said, you are no longer welcome in my pulpit till you forgive him. Because there's no way you can preach the love of God with that much hate in your heart for that man. And so I was not eligible in my pastor's mind to sit in a place where I'm supposed to be a vessel for a message of love if I was still tethered to the toxicity of the past. And I had to go and do some forgiveness work. That for me, to the point where I even vomited and getting it out because it lived in me. And all the getting kicked out of school, all the fighting and all the things. It was a rage that just fed on itself. So, I always tell people, I understand all the, the sermons that I preach come from a very deep place. And forgiveness is something, it's the opportunity to clean out the vats and to replace it with some clear water and hell and heartache with some joy. But you have to be intentional, and sometimes it's just hard to admit how tied up you are. It's hard to admit. It's hard to admit how ugly your own emotions are. It's hard, particularly if you're in a place where you're supposed to be the person who's better. And sometimes we carry around dualisms. And that's another thing. Sometimes we're good at helping others and we have not helped ourselves.
Preach it, Pastor.
Yeah. And so I just encourage people to just be honest. I think, and I go back to honesty. You have to be honest with yourself because nobody gets better until they're honest about their own contradictions. Yeah. That's just my testimony. That sometimes I've kept myself stuck because I didn't want to tell the truth to me about me.
Y'all, you know how real that was? Let's give him a round of applause on his way out. Go in there, do some work around Songs of Black Folk. You want to talk about Songs of Black Folk real quick? If you don't know, you
at
gotta ask somebody.
songsofblackfolk.org. Songs of Black Folk, one word. Songsofblackfolk.org. We will be at the Paramount. Father's Day night, June 16th, 7 p.m. 50-piece orchestra, 7-piece rhythm section, 40-voice choir, and some of the best vocalists anywhere in this country doing classical, jazz, R&B, gospel, rap, spoken word, all on one stage. It is a celebration of African music tradition that jumped the Atlantic via slave ship, settled into the soil of the daily lives of a black people trying to be free and survive in an anti-black, white, racist society where the music has become the soundtrack of our existence. I believe if every book on African American life and culture in the United States was lost to history, if you could gather up the lyrics from our music, you could reconstruct our history. And our music is the source of resistance to white racism, whether it's James Brown saying, "Say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud," and a source of hope, even if it's Tupac Shakur saying, "Keep your head up," or civil rights workers saying, "We shall overcome one day." So come to the Paramount Father's Day night. This year is going to be the most extravagant of the 3 shows we've had. We started in 2022 because we're talking about black freedom, black faith, and black fashion with a focus on the sometimes extravagant persona and presentation of the African American artist. You know, we are a bit extra.
We are. Some of us more than others.
So on that, I got to go. I look forward to
Thank
seeing you
you.
all.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Y'all, this has been absolutely incredible. This was us showing up for you. Now we need you to show up for you. We need you to show up for you. We got real areas. You didn't come here for us. You came here for you because there's some area in your life where you want to get better. Raise your hand if you're ready to speak. I'm going to start with you. So what we're going to do is we're going to have you just come on up and sit right here so you can get a good look at you, hear you well. And if anyone else is ready, go ahead and line up so this goes really quickly. And I know Dr. Carter, as she's coming, you could bring an extra chair. I know we wanted to talk a little bit about the National Black MBA Association and some of the work you're doing to get better, right? Let's have her share right here. Tell us who you are, and then Dr. Carter, if you could be next, we're going to talk about the Black MBA in any area where you are going to help us to get better and things that you're going to do, right? And then anyone else. Like I said, get over there, get ready to line up. Yes, sir. Tell us who you are,
My name
what
is-
resonated with you here, and then tell us an area where you want to get better, and if you need some coaching, we're here for you.
Ain't no such thing as if you need some coaching if you here. Let's just be clear about that.
So you're ready. So you're ready.
Okay.
You're ready.
So my biggest challenge is time management. I'm newly engaged. I have a full-time job. I've been working on my own business for 3 years. I'm not real successful there yet because I haven't put the time in. So my problem is my time management. So I need some help there. Forgiveness is all about a process. That's the one thing I want to say to all of you. It's not an overnight cure. It's a process. Because I believe, without a shadow of a doubt, everything that God does, He does it in His time. He does everything in a time frame. Created the heavens and the earth, 7 days. But everything He does it in a time frame. So in this working on our forgiveness, I'm talking about me because I got some serious issues with forgiveness of one person. And I keep going back to it, keep going back to it. I said, Lord, you're going to have to help me.
You want to share who the person is?
My father.
How do you think it's showing up for you?
How I treat other men. How I treat other women. I have triggers.
Yes.
Don't come crazy,
Right.
because crazy will meet you to the nth power.
See.
I'm that girl.
Right.
From down the way down south. Cut, shoot, ask no questions.
I love
Just be done.
Yes.
And that's real.
Right. Right. Two follow-up questions.
Okay.
So, how it shows up. Now, we were just talking about time management. That was a thing. You said you got some forgiveness. So if we combine the two things, you also talked about your business. Part of this work is we're doing work through the Washington State Micro Enterprise Association. A lot of entrepreneurs that I spoke to were just like you. They said, I have this business,
Yep.
I have this vision, but there are these things that are holding me back.
That's
It could be my father, it could be my brother, it could be my mother, it could be just me, right? Some experience I had in the corporate space. It could there's all these reasons.
Yes.
So just let me be clear to you and everybody in this room. This work is about us getting better. It's also about us getting better in every aspect of our lives.
Oh, yeah.
Your business getting better, all the things, all the
Oh, yeah.
things,
Oh,
all the things.
I get it.
So when you think about your father and how it shows up, and you said how you deal with men, how you deal with women, how you deal with yourself, you left that part out,
Yep.
right?
Oh, no, that was part of me.
Right. So when you think about your business and you think about the time management, all the things, do you feel like you're prioritizing yourself?
I don't.
Right. And let's talk about the whys.
Because I've been around so many hurting people. Even today.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And I don't want people to go through what I've been through.
Right.
So I try to comfort. And anybody that knows me,
She's a giver. leader of the prayer ministry, intercessory prayer. Loving heart, loving soul. And Debrina, we're crossing over, but we connected. We're connecting right now. This is the work that we love. If you had to share, I have two things I wanted to share with you, but if you had to share right now, based on what she said, time management for me, the first thought is, it is truly about us. They just left that for you. It's truly about us putting ourselves first.
Yep.
Being very clear with what you want to accomplish. Being very clear.
Yep.
So this saboteur assessment, you guys are gonna love it. You're gonna love it so much because it actually identifies these things like my top saboteur was controller, hyperachiever, pleaser, and avoider. Each of those show up in what you just described. When you think about your time, you're gonna spend, depending on what your saboteurs are, it talks about how they were originated from a childhood.
Yep.
It talks about all the various elements. So that's just step one. It's just one of the things. When you see them, what you're gonna get to do from a time management perspective, this has been so powerful. You get to see them now. They have a name, right? The saboteur. And then you get to, it's like putting your hand on a hot stove. When you're going there, because that's where we waste a lot of time letting the saboteurs do what saboteurs do. Sabotage your success, sabotage your performance, sabotage your relationships, sabotage your priorities, sabotage the things you say you want to do. They sabotage you being consistent. They sabotage you being aligned. They're
All that.
saboteurs. It's all the things. So the importance of you going in and saying a free assessment that takes 5 minutes that will help you. What did you say? You got to see yourself and be true to yourself. You got to be honest with yourself. That's just one of the things that we get to bring into this conversation. So I'm going to say, start with the seeing of yourself. Once you see those things and how they show up, you get to take your hand off the stove. You're like, okay, I see you, controller. I see you, pleaser. Not today. Like you literally get to choose differently. So when we say decisions determine your destiny, it is about those limiting beliefs. They all have, we can go deep. It's the root cause analysis. That's the beauty of this stuff.
Right.
That's why I was so excited to bring it in. That's why Dr. Carter was like, go with it. President of the Black MBA, when we could run this grant, and I submitted this grant, it was like, how do we truly empower our people? How do we create this healing space? When I described to him what it was, he was like, yes. By all means, get the right people in a room and let's do this work. Let's do the thing. Let's drop it like it's hot. So,
Dr. Tracy,
Yes,
may I
yes.
just say something?
please.
We
Phyllis.
are
Phyllis.
grateful for you just sharing very vulnerable space from your heart tonight, and we hold that in sacred trust. Because it's important to know that, that we love you, and just stepping forward and being so vulnerable tonight is really a pathway to your healing. So
I know.
just really
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, y'all see it? Do you feel it? Do you feel
Yeah.
the transformation? Right. This is what happens when we show up for ourselves. Sabrina, what are your thoughts? I'm loving this.
I know.
Hand hold. Come over here. Come over here and catch these hands. Come over and catch these hands. It's a beautiful bond right now.
There's two things I'm thinking about, Phyllis. And a lot of times we don't realize the connection between something in the past and something we're trying to do in the present, and why it's not clicking and happening. So if we were in a coaching session, you would get to say why your dad,
Yeah.
not just that it was your dad. We're not going to do that here. But when is your dad still alive? Okay. And it's been many years.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So oftentimes there's been a violation. And it's about what we came to believe about ourselves because of what happened to us.
Right.
And so that is a key part of this, to clean that out, and the self-concept that whatever age, okay, the origin experience occurred where some beliefs locked in about Phyllis that were lies, but they're still
There.
present today, causing you to run from, deny, and be overly occupied with other people's stuff. Okay, so just so you see the connection, then then we speak as if it's a time management issue. Okay, so now that's the healing side of it, which must be done.
Yes.
Okay, and you get to have support. Now, on the daily level, I want you to do a evaluation.
Okay.
And in my teachings with women, I don't talk about time management because we only get 24 hours in a day, and
That's
it's
it.
based upon the cycle of the earth. There's no 25th hour. We got 24 hours. It's a fixed resource. Our energy, however, when we start to evaluate with whom, where, how, and on what, your energy is currently being utilized. So you can see it's not a time management issue. It's about how and where you're using your energy, and it's away from the things that you say are important. So we got two levels here. We got the transformational level. We got to do the deeper cause level stuff because we
Right.
wanted to get you unstuck, unclogged, the falsehoods, the lies about yourself, about men, about love, all that. It has to be transformed because it will keep you tethered, as Pastor Braxton was saying. But then the lighter thing you can do, even when you get home tonight, is you can, let me take a look at with whom, on what, where, how is my energy currently being utilized.
Okay.
And it will let you begin to see where there is a mismanagement of your energy.
Well,
And so,
well,
and I'm not saying start making changes, I'm just saying become aware of this precious resource of energy and in what places, directions, spaces, situations, and relationships it currently is going and flowing. And it will, and you'll be able to see like, oh, I need a redistribution in these two areas. Now, once the healing work is done, which doesn't have to take a long time, you will then be very clear about the shifts and changes on the physical energy management level. And then you can also get support. So if your business is what you want to really get off the ground, then you get a coach who can, a business coach who has proven business success, which is one of the successes I have, 25 years in business, generated millions in my company, third generation entrepreneur. So you don't just go with who you know, you go with who has the mastery in the area that you want to elevate.
Right.
And so you get support in that area. Not yet though, we first got some gunk, funk, and junk
oh, yeah.
that we need to clean out first, and then we got the energy management assessment, and then what support do I need? So I can have support in birthing this new version of myself, right?
Right.
There's always a doula, there's always a midwife when we're giving natural birth, but we need it for our personal transformation journey as well. So for you to come forward,
Yes.
that is such a big deal
Yes.
because it's easy to hide out and say, let somebody else go. So it lets us know you're in readiness.
Yes.
So build on this and don't let any distractions, excuses, justifications
That's right.
keep you from building on this momentum. And given that you're in prayer ministry, the whole ministry is going to experience
Yes.
a breakthrough
Yeah.
because of the space you create from the freedom you're now experiencing. So
I love
that's
it
what I
too.
have to say.
Thank
And
you
I
very
appreciate
much.
all of you and all of you. We're in this together.
That's a good break.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
Um,
Can you come up here? We got it, because we got a camera. You gotta put you on. So I think it's for you.
You want her to stay or you want to?
Well, I'm just going to ask you for what you just said.
So have a seat, sir.
Okay, fine.
And just to be clear, he had a specific question after we were talking about forgiveness yesterday, and there was some follow-up to that. So it's okay for you to give us a little background and talk about forgiveness. Why was that so important to you, and how is that shown up for you? Is that one of the things you're working on, one area where you want to get better?
Yeah, I'll do that, but I want to ask a question
Yes.
for what you said first.
Okay.
Okay.
You said the who, what, when, and where. What I appreciated was you didn't put the why on that question, because why is the trap.
Right.
If I'm trying to figure out the trap, then all my time is going to be spent on the why, and I don't do the who, what, when, and where. So I just wanted to
Beautiful.
Good
Yeah.
point. Yes, 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 yes,
Yes,
yes.
yes.
And as far as me having something to say, this is something small, cautionary tale, something that worked for me. Quick story. Probably about 35 plus or minus. I'm with my wife. I go over to my mother's house, and my mother wants to show my wife all the family pictures. Right? So she pulls out 35 little albums, and she starts going through these albums, and this is Crystal here, and this is Crystal here, and this is Crystal here, Clyde, Crystal here, Crystal here, Crystal, Clyde, and Crystal. I'm watching this, and I'm just.
Are you Clyde?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know your name. That's an important.
And his
clue.
sister is Crystal.
Yeah,
His
got
sister's
it.
Crystal.
Got it.
So what
Yeah.
you do with that experience while you're slowly going into this latent internal burn that you don't know you even have.
Woo! Come on now.
So I'm going with this thing, and I'm watching this, and I gotta go pick up my stepfather at the airport. And so my wife stays with my mother. And mom's still showing her the Crystal, Clyde, Crystal. And so my wife says, you know, Mom, he does have a point. And my mother's in the, I raise my con, denial. It's the denial that pisses you off. Acknowledge, I'm telling you the truth. I would have walked out the door, but you're not gonna do that. So it's like, I go and pick up the guy, and I come back. Now the point isn't so much about my mother.
Right.
The point is my sister. All those years of watching my sister be special was pissing me off. I never internalized it. I didn't recognize it. I didn't really feel it. But sitting there and looking at my sister while she's watching this experience, she fell apart because she didn't realize it either. So all that crap I carried about my sister doing me in order to get over, that was in my head. So my statement there is, you have no idea, I mean this literally, you have no idea the freedom and the peace that came about from having resolved that with my sister. My sister are totally cool. We were always good, but once I got rid of my internal angst, you know, so when I hear this, that's what we're talking about here. Well, you know, Braxton kind of touched on it too, but bottom line is, we've got baggage. I'm talking about the baggage you don't even recognize. Because that's such a little small thing. But it made a major difference in my life and with my sister and with my family and even with my mother, because she then too finally had to come through and say, it happened, it existed. I got all the excuses then. You're like, well, your dad had a new camera. You know? I said, yeah, that was when she was 6, Mom. That's 35. Anyway, that's all.
Oh, that's so good. Thank you.
So beautiful. I love it. Does anyone else want to share? I'm not gonna put anyone on the spot.
Can we add something to what he
You
said?
can come up here and add it.
I don't wanna be out
Well,
there.
we have to. Can you say it really loud then?
Okay, I'll say it really loud.
And can you catch her from
So what
where
is-
she is? No, I'm just joking.
One of the things
too.
that I appreciated about what Clyde just shared about baggage
Yeah.
is that unclaimed baggage.
Say it again.
That gets us in trouble.
Say it again.
That unclaimed baggage that we need to go and take the key, unlock it, take it out, and unpack it. So it's that unclaimed baggage that can get us in trouble.
Now talk a little bit about. Thank you for saying that. Thank you for saying that. You've talked about. You've used the word trauma because when this is community empowerment and community healing, and you've used the word trauma a lot. And you said if you don't deal with it, then that's what you pass on. That unclaimed baggage, unclaimed, claim. Right? Most of us don't want to admit that. Talk a little bit about this opportunity to truly heal, and then we're going to actually, if no one else wants to speak in this particular moment. Oh, we got Dr. Carter. I love it. Does anyone else want to speak? Do you want to share? Raise your hand if you want to share. I'm gonna have you sit in those back 2 chairs there. And if not, we're gonna close because I think some people want to share, not on camera, guys, and we're gonna respect that. We're gonna respect that here in the moment, but we're gonna create a space. Again, it's better together because think about how many people her experience, his experience will benefit. So when we show up with this level of authenticity, we can promise you one thing: we're part of the solution. Together, we will get better. It's impossible not to in a space like this, in a loving space like this, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
I think, when you're talking about trauma, we carry trauma over like the experiences of childhood. And one of my traumas that I carry forth is just the trauma of growing up in really what I call inhumane ways. And so when I see other people suffering, it keeps me in a place where I hurt, it pains, because it's like, no one should have to be going through. No one should have to be treated like that, and that's where the trauma of the past, the racism, the oppression, and I think one of the things during the George Floyd era was it really, and I think it did more so than what COVID did. I think they did two object things. But the George Floyd era really unearthed though that baggage, that just sort of smothering, and it just raised an ugly head. And so for those of us who carry that trauma of the past, you know, you think you get over it, and then the next thing you know, they shot another black man, like, and I got a black son, and I don't want my son to be killed, and, and my nephews and all of that, and it just keeps that pain just like, and that's a hard trauma to get over, I mean, I keep working with myself with it, and I try and do what I can in the world as an activist to bring voice to it, because I think that's one of the ways that my healing come forth is giving voice, to issues of injustice and things that impact the lives of people. So, it's trauma is it's real.
It's real.
But it is, I'm aware of it for myself personally, and so I continually, make sure that I'm working to heal myself and to, like I say, be that voice, because it gives me a certain power that I'm speaking up for the voiceless. So,
Do you love that?
Yeah.
So she's up here because this is what she does. She's been coaching and training and doing this for decades. But she's also saying this is her journey as well. We're all on a journey. We're all on a journey, and it is better when we do it together. So thank you so much for that as well. Lordy, one of my favorite people, Dr. James Carter, President of the National Black MBA Association. You part of the reason that we got to do this. You basically, let's give him a round of applause.
thank you.
So, Dr. Carter, how excited? And what do you want to share? I mean, I could ask you 14 different questions, but you came up here. What do you want to share about the experience, the opportunity, and do you have anything in the area where you want to get better? Because we said we're going to have authentic experiences. I'm still working on this weight loss, y'all. I'm 35 down, and I'm going to show up, right? I'm also working on my financial situation, overgiving and not doing there's a lot of work we're able to do together. Dr. Carter, talk about how proud you are, whatever you want to say about the opportunity to bring this in the community where others should do it, and then anything you want to say about your own journey to get better.
Sure. So with the National Black MBA Association, the Seattle chapter, three things we try to focus on: community, family, self. That's really important. The only way for us to go out beyond our community to help people is to heal ourselves and to take care of our families. So it's with that when I was approached with this program, my mindset is let's find the money for us to be able to do the work, and then I step out of the way so that Tracy can make the work happen. We're blessed to have the opportunity to be able to help our entrepreneurs, our business owners, our friends and family, our students who are working on getting a master's degree, those students who are in college, and high school students as well. So certainly one of the things that I'm really proud of is that we have the opportunity to help a large population. In terms of what I'd like to work on about myself, the young lady who was here before me, she stole mine. that time management piece. You sit here, you're looking at somebody who was failing retirement.
Right.
Failing really poorly. I retired from the United States Air Force Reserves after 28 years. And simultaneously, I retired from the Chicago Police Department after 23 years of service. And I thought coming out to Seattle after my kids went off to school that I would be able to take it easy. And as fate would have it, I'm sitting on my couch watching the soap operas one day when I get a telephone call. Hey man, you think you could come help us out with the program for a little bit? I mean, what's a little bit? Hey, about 2 or 3 months, you could just help us just straighten this ship out. I was like, okay, 2 or 3 months, okay, that's fine. That was 5 years ago. So I'm currently the executive director for the Breakfast Group. It's a mentoring organization in Seattle. We mentor black and brown young boys and girls in the Seattle public high schools.
Awesome.
I am the vice president for my fraternity, Alpha Phi Alpha.
Yes.
And currently the president for the Seattle chapter of the National Black MBA Association. So keeps me busy. And so that's where the time management piece comes in, where it's so important because maybe more so than time management is just not being able to say no sometimes.
Yeah.
I wake up every day thinking that I'm lucky to be here. The talk about the things that I've survived, that's a whole nother conversation and story, but I feel like I'm lucky to be here. And since I am here, I should be of service. I should be giving something back, especially in these high schools. In these schools, there are so many young black and brown boys, furthest from educational equity, furthest from digital justice, who don't have someone to talk to, who deal with the trauma, some of the trauma that we talk about right here, going to school every day. I mean, the thought that there are students who haven't eaten all weekend and then they get to school Monday morning and teachers expect them to sit there quietly and do their homework. And so many of our young black and brown boys, just feel invisible. Like if I weren't here, they wouldn't miss me. They don't want to hear what I have to say. The only thing that they're waiting for me to do is to act up so they can kick me out of school or put me in jail. And I feel like the Lord's decision was, I don't know what you thought you were going to be doing during retirement. I guess I'm completely different for you to do. And so I'm enjoying where we are. I hope that everyone is enjoying this. I hope that everyone sticks with it. I hope that everyone tells 2 to 3 friends about this so that they can have this experience as well. Tracy is a beautiful person. She puts a lot of work in. She's really dedicated to this. This is a real passion for her.
Yes.
And so very proud of her. Certainly give her a hand, a round of applause. And then this young lady right here to my left, it's my angel. I have the opportunity to sometimes sit and listen to her talk about correcting things in our lives, correcting things in my life. And I have to admit, sometimes I'm sitting in the room and I'm like, okay, well, there's food. Let me make sure everything is squared away. Okay, we're looking good. And then it's almost as if the lights go out. And then there's just the light on her, and there's a light on me, and she's looking at me and she's saying, James, you gotta do XYZ. You gotta straighten it out. You gotta fix this. You gotta fix that. And then all of a sudden the lights are turned back on. I was like, well, damn it, I guess I was supposed to be here to hear that. So it is so good to see you.
Good to be seen.
All right.
Yeah, he don't get to go yet because what I wanted to share with you is he walked in here 6 what?
6'5".
As he walked in here with his 6'5" glorious self. Some of you may not know he's a double amputee. Exactly. So if you think about living powerfully, showing up in excellence, when he says he is grateful to be here, that's an example of living powerfully. So talk about showing up. Now, are there any words that you want to share about living powerfully or how we get to show up? Again, this saboteur assessment, the things that we get to decide we want to do, right? How we want to show up differently. Any words of wisdom you would share about how people can show up powerfully no matter what's happening in their life?
Sure. I would say a lot of living powerfully is about what's going on in your own mind. We can let ourselves defeat ourselves and we can control that. I did not have a lot of time to make the decision on whether or not I would allow them to take my first leg. I went to the doctor because I thought I was coming down with a cold. I'll get some cold medication and go home and call it a day. And after they did a few tests, they came to me and they said, Doctor, we got some news to deliver to you. Your blood is poisoning you. And it's because of an infection from a surgery that you have. And the only way to keep you alive is to remove your leg. And if you could just imagine, the thoughts going through my mind. That's the first thing I said, well, can I think about it over the weekend? And they said no, because if you leave here, you may not make it back here on Monday. And so I had to make that decision within an hour or two. Had not been able to call family, friends, anything of that nature, just straight into the operating room. Operation went well. Had to teach myself how to walk, how to live, how to keep my squash together mentally, because there are just so many different emotions that and kind of go through. But survived, and my mindset was, okay, I'm gonna do the things that I need to do, and 3 months later, I was back at work. 3 years later, 2019, that infection came back. And same thing, I go to the doctor, I'm thinking, oh man, I got a little, I don't know why my chest is bothering me, I got a little cold. Get to the doctor, they do a blood test, and they said, doc, that infection has come back. We know where the source is, but what we're gonna have to do is, we're gonna have to amputate your other leg. And if we don't do this, you won't be here. I have 2 sons. I have a 30-year-old that's working in Chicago. I have a 6'10", 26-year-old that's playing professional basketball. He's in Mexico now. And he was actually in Seattle with me when they told me. And the look on his face was, he was just defeated. Maybe he just saw some fear in my eyes, but it was just in that mindset, in that moment, I said, hey, this can't be the end. And I have other stuff that I have to do. I want to see my son play basketball. I want to see my sons get married, or maybe have grandkids. There's so much more living that I have to do. And so it was right there that I made up my mind, okay, let me get it back together. And 3 months later, I was back walking again. Again, the mind can be, the mind is a beautiful thing. It can really crush you and crush your spirits if you let it, if you don't control it, if you don't put together the work for the thoughts to help you make it to the next minute and the next hour and the next day. I'm laying in a hospital bed, and my mindset is, am I going to be thought of less of a man because I'm missing a limb? Am I going to be thought of less of a man because I'm missing 2 limbs? And the Lord said, hey man, you are so much more than your legs. You didn't become Dr. Carter because you had legs. And I've lived a life. You know, I worked 17 years undercover in Chicago on the streets. If you've ever seen the television show The Wire, that's what work was like for me every day. In the military, started out in air transportation, and I wish I could say I had a hard time in the military. I wish I could. But when I became first sergeant, I just told people what to do. There was no there was no hard time. It's like, first sergeant, your troops are going to be staying in that mud hut over there. And then there's an embassy suites. We're gonna send you right down. That's exactly what I thought. But I'll tell a story, and then I'm going to stop talking. I was at grammar school. I went to Catholic school in Chicago. Went to St. John de La Salle every day. Wore a navy blue pants or sweater, navy blue tie, powder blue shirt. From kindergarten to 8th grade, that was my uniform. I graduated from 8th grade. And the only thing I said to myself, I would never wear that. I would never wear this combination of blue ever again. And excuse me, I know we're in the house of the Lord, but I'll be damned if I didn't join the Chicago Police Department and the Air Force, and guess what those colors are? That's right. Born into that life of service.
Nice.
And sometimes you can't fight those callings. Sometimes you think there's a tumbling block in front of you, or there's a barrier or a hurdle in front of you, and you have to try to get your mind to understand that by going through or over or around or under that hurdle, it's gonna make you a better person. So
Thank you, Dr. Carter. You see why we love him so much? Y'all, this is Living Powerfully. Now, we're going to talk to 2 of the people super quick. So we have to bring up Owen Lawson. Somebody give him a round of applause. He's leading NBCF, New Beginnings Christian Fellowship Empowerment. So real quick, and if there's anyone else who wants to, perfect. So Owen actually was talking about Magnificent Mondays. And so, do y'all feel like this is a Magnificent Monday?
Woo!
Hello? Yes, right?
Yes.
You feel like you're ready to continue the transformation?
Yes.
Right? You ready to continue to getting better together?
Yes.
Are you excited about living powerfully, this experience that we get to have together?
Yes.
Let's say thank you to this one right here, because we were doing this work and he was like, we need to bring this into community in a deeper way. So Owen, talk a little bit real quick about your experience and what you are going to do to help the rest of us to really stay on this journey. What do you want to do to get better? Where are you at with this experience?
So I think the two pieces that are tied together for me, Phyllis isn't, I don't see her here anymore, but she set the standard in terms of what she shared. So I'm gonna try and meet her there.
Nice.
For me, it's my life is telling me, in some ways, to let go of some things, so that I can finish commitments.
Yeah.
I'm not finishing commitments, right? And if I were to take you back to my home right now, you'd see things just set this down and keep going, set this down and keep going. So I think it's just that simple for me. And it's a blessing to have each of you here, because Magnificent Monday, as it lived within my head, Magnificent Monday was really about, you see the magic of spiritual leaders on Sunday. They gave us a word, and we bust out the doors, right? But the work is Monday.
Yeah.
Preach.
The work is Monday. And so the name of the ministry is Educational Empowerment. But I feel like that really is a way that people can walk past it because they feel like I'm no longer in school. But God creates all of us as lifelong learners.
That's right.
So I went to the empowerment ministries just simply with the idea that when we come out of Sunday, what is God empowering us to get done?
Yes. Yeah.
Right? And so when we started this, we wanted to be in community. We had ideas of where the space was going to be, and we kept just pressing forward. But the idea was just simply listen to the needs of the community. Don't worry about what we have in the cupboards, because in my cupboards is not enough to take care of the needs of this room.
That's right. Yeah.
But in God's economy, then what we have is an opportunity to talk about what is it that you need. Ministry is meeting people in their place of need.
Yes.
And then as we move through this together, seeing how God has moved as we've committed to do the work.
I love it. I love it. Thank you. Thank you. Is there anything, we're going to go around the room for anyone who wants to just say out loud one area where you want to get better. Just say it out loud. You don't have to come up. What do you want to do to get better? You said finish things? We got you. What do you want to do to get better?
Let go.
Let go.
Let go.
So you're going to love this forgiveness work, because there's some true letting go as a part of that. Some belief work. Yes, ma'am. What are you going to do to get better?
I want to stop waking up and telling myself the same story over and over again.
Say it louder. Say it louder.
I want to stop waking up and telling myself the same story over and over.
Nathan, I'm gonna talk to my producer real quick. Can you stand up and get to one of these cameras and catch these people? Can you do?
Just look at that camera, is what you're saying?
No, he can zoom in. Can you stand up, catch one of the cameras, and get close-ups on my people as they speak, so they don't have to get up? He got this. I promise. He got it. He's amazing. Thank you so much. Say that one more time, please.
I want to wake up and
If you
not
don't
have to tell myself the same story over and over again. I want to create a new story when I wake up every morning.
I love it. Do you have anything you want to share?
Conditioning,
Oh, sorry. I'm gonna talk to the lady in the front, then I'll come to you. Sorry.
conditioning my mind and being more truthful to myself.
I love it. Yes, ma'am, in the back row.
I want to be healthier.
Nice.
Feel like
I
I'm
love it.
healthier physically and emotionally.
I love it. Yes, ma'am.
I want to step into my power and stop playing myself small.
Go ahead and preach. You gonna pass this time in the pink?
I
Pass.
I just don't like the cameras.
Okay, so you want to say it? So you back of your head? We hear you.
No, go ahead.
Okay. You sure we're gonna go to the back row? What do you want to do? What do you want to get better?
And being faithful to myself.
I like it, ma'am.
What she said, but, being, setting my goals and being consistent with achieving the goals that I set.
I love it. I love it. Can you check the chat, somebody, and be ready to say anything that people are putting in the chat as well? Do you want to share anything that you want to get better? No? Behind you? Do you want to share anything that you want to get better?
Maybe practicing more like self-care instead of like self-recovery. And offloading some of the mental load that we as moms and partners tend to carry.
I love it. Nathan, I'm going to have you use this camera and catch her. Sir, would you like to share one area you want to get better? Mr. Edward Nubens? He passed.
You first?
He passed.
For me, it's really just putting myself in a position to where I have more freedom to do the things I really love to do. That's financial, and then also, for me, I work with Brandon on a lot of stuff too. It's really not about myself anymore. I think I'm pretty good where I'm at as far as the things I want to accomplish. I've already overcome a car accident where I could have been killed. So now it's like, all right, how do I get in a position to have more freedom to do what I want to do, which is actually help people and just tell stories and like be a little kid again, actually. So it's kind of like that's where I'm at.
I love it. I love it. Leah?
I want to forgive myself. I've done like a lot of forgiveness work on the people around me, but I struggle on forgiving myself so that I could actually be in my power regularly.
I love it. Thank you for that. Cassandra?
Man, I have so many things.
Right.
I think where I need to start for myself is making sure that I'm active in removing limited thinking, like thoughts that limit my ability, because I recognize there are no limits to my ability outside of those that I self-impose. So just actively walking in that, regardless to what's happening in front of me. Like sometimes we have conflict, and that conflict will cause us to doubt our ability or what God even said about us. But I want to be able to face conflict just like I face all the good things in my life.
Thank you so much. Y'all give yourselves a round of applause for showing up. Are there people online? We're going to do a little bit better. We're going to be getting better with the online. We had some little technical issues, I believe, over here with the online. Nathan, do you see anyone with anything in the chat that you want to share? And then what we're going to do is we're going to go into anyone else have any burning thing they want to share? So we're going to go into just a quick close. Yes, ma'am.
I think it's wonderful that this is an intergenerational
Yes.
event.
Yes.
Because as we talk about passing on things, the next generation will know that we made it through, and they can make it through too.
Yes, yes. And I love the idea of us recording it all. Like no one can rewrite history. I'm from Florida. They rewriting history, rewriting books, banning books, and calling slavery an internship program. I mean, come on now. Like at the end of the day, when we show up with this level of clarity and intention, this is truly what generational change looks like. This is what empowerment and community healing looks like. So y'all give yourselves another round of applause for legacy building. All right, we're leaving it on the table, y'all. We're leaving it on the table. So I'm going to ask our beautiful panelists here for any final words. And again, next week, what you can expect is the saboteur assessment. We're going to ask each of you to do it. You can do it before, you can do it after. You can send it to me in advance. Take this with you. You go to positiveintelligence.com, and midway down the page, you'll see something that says Discover Your Saboteurs. It's free, right? They're going to talk about the program. You're getting basically $1,000 scholarships for being a part of this 6-week program. You're not going as deep as we would in that, but we're going to continue to do that work as well. But what you're going to get is the benefit and the knowledge of that experience. So no cost, it's free to everyone, but go to positiveintelligence.com, do a saboteur assessment. You're going to get some results. You can email them to me, and we can have a conversation. Because we want you to show up with an experience that is absolutely transformational. So when Debrina was like, oh, and you can't do transformational work without going deep. You can't do it without talking about beliefs. That's what we do as transformational coaches. But that forgiveness piece, like that's going to be, like we're going to talk about your beliefs so that you can be ready to truly, truly go deeper and forgive yourself and others to get to the next level. So thank you again. Final words. I'll start with you.
Okay.
Final words.
So I'll just use a quote from my book, The Pathway to the Soul. It says, the deepest need of any human being is to be successful, happy, love, and have sufficient resources, great relationships, a need to be loved by others, the ongoing search for purpose, for healing and wholeness of one true self.
Thank you. I love it. I love it. Yes. Final words, Debrina, as we transition. We're going to continue this journey around getting better together. We're going to continue to create a space for people to live powerfully. What final words would you like to share with this community?
I am just so proud of us. I am just so proud of us. And there is some that would say, oh, if it's going to be a concert, Black folks will show up. If it's entertainment, Black folks will show up. And here we are talking about our healing, our restoration, our transformation, our elevation, with all Black experts, men and women in the audience, multi-generations, in a historic Black church in Seattle, not Atlanta, not Chicago, not New York, not Oakland, Seattle, Washington. So I am just proud of us. And let us continue the work together and bring more people with us each week, and we can pack this room out by the end of 6 weeks because each one just reached one. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. See you next week, right here, online and in person. What's the address for Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial Baptist Church?
4510 North.
No, 4519.
4519 Northeast 10th Street. There you go. Live and in person. We promise. Oh, Renton. It is in Renton. Thank y'all.
5'9".
Thank you. We will work the chat, y'all. I promise. We will catch you. All the comments in the chat. We promise to work that between now and next week. Thank you. Bye.